Today I want to take you on a trip to the island of Aegina and its star attraction, the wonderfully preserved Temple of Aphaia within pristine landscape overlooking the sea. We take a short ferry ride from Piraeus' port of Athens, and we're going into the Saronic Islands of Greece in the Saronic Gulf. Just 17 miles away from Athens, we quickly arrive in Aegina, a gorgeous island, a world away from the crowds of the Acropolis, a respite from the hustle and bustle of touristy Athens. In fact, many people live on the island and commute daily to the capital. It's that close. It's rich agriculturally throughout all of its history, and in 1896, the physician Nicholas Peroglou brought pistachios from Syria, and this is a delicious aspect on this historic island that I was able to enjoy as well. When you come to Greece, you've got olive oil, you can have wine experiences, you can also check out the pistachio production, which takes place in the island of Aegina. And right now I'm walking through a small private property. The pistachios were introduced in the 19th century because they didn't consume a lot of water. They don't consume a lot of water. They came from Syria. And it's now a very well-known, very respected production. And it's just extraordinary. I've never actually been to this sort of reality. I love pistachio nuts. And to see them on the tree is fascinating. And of course, to see the process is another fantastic thing, another amazing experience in Greece. It's not a big island. It's only 10 by 6 miles, but it became a maritime superpower, a colony of Epidaurus. And from the 6th to the 5th centuries BC, it was a sea power, rivaling even Athens itself. And the pinnacle of its power was between 490 and 480 BC. So it was a threat to Athens, its neighbor. And when the Persian invasion was imminent, the general Themistocles, to stoke the Athenian ego to spend their money on building a new fleet, he actually pushed the idea that they needed the fleet to fight against the Aegeans and not the Persians. Now, at the Battle of Salamis, of course, you have the famous victory of the Athenians, but actually, Aegina played an important role as well, although they get kind of glossed over with the later writers in Greek history. Now, you have today a gorgeous Acropolis overlooking the sea. This is a great complex of Apollo. Later on, the Venetians called it Colonna, referring to the one column still standing of the once great archaic temple, 6 by 11 columns, built at the end of the 6th century in the Archaic period. And all around it, you see the successive buildings that are constructed for this still impressive looking ancient complex. But let's move up to the definitive temple on the hill. What really makes it a worthwhile visit? This is the sanctuary of Aphaia, located 160 meters above sea level in the northeast point of the island. The sanctuary covered an area of about 80 by 80 meters in size. With activity going back to the 14th century in the Bronze Age, it was originally an open-air sanctuary. And by the 7th century BC, it had a temple. Now, who was the goddess? She was a fertility and agricultural divinity. Later, under Athenian dominance, she was identified with the goddesses Athena and Artemis. But originally it seems she was the nymph Britomartis, who was a daughter of Zeus, according to Pausanias. She was chased by Minos in Crete, fled into the sea, and was made into a goddess by Artemis herself, and then came to reveal herself on the island of Aegina, where they called her Aphaia. What is so spectacular of the situation of the Greek temples is in countless occasions, like Adelphi, like here in Aegina, you correspond your location with breathtaking landscape here with the view of the sea visible to all. The temple that we see today dates approximately to 500 BC, and it was constructed on top of an earlier temple that was constructed around 570 BC that was destroyed by a fire necessitating the final version of the temple that we can admire. Now, a lot of the chunks of that earlier temple have been unearthed because they were properly buried on site, and they are on display, and a lot of the original color has been preserved. Now let's take a look at the new site for the new temple that we can admire today. You have, according to the plans and according to an examination of the site, a series of structures for the priests, for the attendants of the sanctuary that are visible, as are a number of altars. And we can also see that the temple was hexastyle. That means there are 6 columns across the front. It's peripteral of the Doric order. So we have 6 across the front and 12 on the side on a platform that's approximately 30 by 15 meters. And take a look at these columns. Most of them are monolithic. So each column shaft is made from a single block of stone. Inside the cella, you have 2 rows of smaller columns that together reach the height of the roof to support the timbers. Now, what about the decoration in the pediments? We are so fortunate that 20th century German-led excavations unearthed and reconstructed the marbles from both pedimental groups. So they both are themes of the Trojan Wars, but at 2 different time periods, and within them, they also record some of the personalities of Aegina. So on the western side, you have the Second Trojan War, the later Trojan War, that was narrated by Homer, and you have prominently the theme of Ajax. On the eastern side, facing the altar, you have a pediment showing the earlier Trojan War, before the one described by Homer. This is the war of Heracles, who fought against the king of Troy, Laomedon. And what you have in the center in the pediment is none other than Athena. And in this case here, we have a wonderful reconstruction that re-elaborates what the kind of color system would have been painted on the marble statues. These are incredible stories that are told, well preserved. You can see them today in the Glyptothek in Munich. I hope you've enjoyed this quick getaway to Aegina. It really should be a destination for you if you go to Athens and you want to have some calm, you want to get away from all that craziness that now Athens is experiencing with a boom in tourism. Aegina is a place to go to really enjoy the Athenian life, because so many Athenians live there, commuting to the great city of Athens. I've got a lot more Greek adventures to share with you, so stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe. I'll see you soon.